All right, let's just get right into it. Have you ever been told you're too sensitive? Or maybe that you're just overthinking everything? Yeah? Well, what if I told you that sensitivity isn't some kind of flaw? What if it's actually this incredible superpower, a navigation tool you've been taught to completely ignore? Think about it. What if, just to get by, you've been ditching the very compass you need to actually thrive?
You know what I'm talking about, right? You walk into a meeting, a party, or heck, even an empty room, and you just feel it. You can instantly tell if the vibe is tense or happy or just heavy. That is not in your head. It's a real, fundamental human ability we all have to sense the unspoken information, to literally read the vibration of a person or a place. So what is that vibe? Well, you can call it a lot of things. Scientists and spiritual traditions have names for it like chi or shakti or the human energy field, but they're all pointing to the same thing, this subtle, invisible vibration that underpins everything in the physical world. We all perceive it, even if we just call it a gut feeling. It's like a fundamental language of the universe. And some people, they're just born fluent.
For a lot of people, this whole energy thing is kind of like background music. It's there, but you don't always notice it. But for others, especially for many neurodivergent people, it is totally different. It's like their whole world is being broadcast in crystal clear 4K high definition. They pick up on every little emotional undercurrent, every tiny shift in energy, with just incredible clarity. And that brings us right to the AuDHD neurotype. That's the combination of autism and ADHD. These brains have this powerful, just innate attunement to all of this subtle information. From the time they're kids, they're wired to notice the details, the patterns, and the energies that most other people just walk right past. And this natural attunement, it translates into some genuine superpowers. I'm talking about a really deep empathy, which is basically the ability to feel another person's energetic state in your own body. It's an almost uncanny ability to see patterns that nobody else can see, and this incredibly strong drive for what's fair and what's real. It's an internal compass that is just ridiculously precise.
But here's where it gets complicated. The autistic brain is kind of a walking contradiction. You've got the autistic side that absolutely craves routine, order, and things being predictable. Then you have the ADHD side, which is desperate for novelty, spontaneity, and flexibility. So it's this constant push and pull, right? You're either overstimulated by too much going on or understimulated by not enough. It creates this wild cycle of intense focus followed by a complete and total crash. So that leads us to the big question, doesn't it? If this whole sensitivity thing is a superpower, if it's like having a high-definition lens on the world, then why on earth does it so often feel absolutely exhausting? Why does this gift so often feel like a massive burden?
Well, the answer is pretty straightforward, actually. When you're a high-definition person trying to survive in a blurry world that doesn't get your settings, you're taught that what you perceive is wrong. Your sensitivity gets you into trouble. It gets punished. So to survive, you develop this whole toolkit of really costly strategies just to try and blend in. This quote from a Reddit user just nails that first survival tool. Socializing isn't this natural, intuitive thing. Nope. It's a performance. It's conscious. It's methodical. You're manually processing every single detail. What words to say, what tone to use, how much eye contact is normal. It's like you're running this super complex social translation software in your head 24/7. And this performance, it has a name: masking. It's the constant act of hiding or squashing down your authentic traits just to appear normal. And it's not just, putting on a brave face. It's like wearing a really heavy, elaborate, uncomfortable costume all day, every single day. The amount of cognitive energy that burns through is just immense. Okay, so another tool you find in this survival kit is something called overfunctioning. And at its core, this is a boundaries issue. See, when the world feels energetically chaotic and unpredictable, you get this intense drive to control it. So you might find yourself taking on jobs that aren't even yours, managing other people's tasks, their emotions, all just to try and manage your own internal stress and feel safe.
This quote, wow, it just gets right to the heart of the fear that drives the next strategy. When being your real, authentic self is met with rejection or even bullying, you learn a hard lesson very fast. Safety comes from becoming whatever other people want you to be. You learn to twist yourself into knots to fit their expectations.
And that twisting, that contortion, that's called fawning. It's a trauma response. Your nervous system detects a social threat, maybe the threat of conflict or just being rejected, and you immediately snap into people pleaser mode. You completely abandon your own needs, your boundaries, your opinions, anything to appease the other person and make sure you're safe. So let's talk about what happens when you spend your entire life wearing this heavy costume made of masking, overfunctioning, and fawning. Well, you start paying a really, really high price. That internal navigation system, your sensitivity, is being constantly ignored and overridden, and the energy drain is just massive.
And the toll it takes is devastating. We're talking chronic anxiety from constantly scanning for social threats. We're talking about autistic burnout, where your entire system just shuts down from pure exhaustion. It leads to a total loss of self, like you don't even know who you are without the mask. And it absolutely shows up physically too. Headaches, chronic fatigue, stomach problems, you name it. And this is so, so important to hear. That feeling of being completely and utterly drained, it is not a personal failing. It's not a character flaw. It's not a sign that you're weak. It is the predictable, physiological result of a nervous system that has been stuck in survival mode for way, way too long. And eventually, that system just hits a breaking point. There's a term for it: restraint collapse. It's that moment you finally get home, you shut the door behind you, and that costume finally comes off. The immense effort of holding it all together is over, and all the stored up emotion, the sensory overload, the bone-deep exhaustion, it all comes flooding out at once. Okay, so that's the problem. And it's a big one. But what's the solution? The way forward isn't about getting better at the performance. It's about learning how to take off the costume and, maybe for the very first time in your life, learning to actually trust that powerful inner compass you were born with. And this is really the game-changing question. For years, maybe your whole life, you've been told your sensitivity is wrong, it's unreliable, so you've abandoned it. You've over-explained yourself and over-functioned to try and make up for it. But what if you just stopped? What if you actually started listening to its signals instead of fighting them?
You know, this can start with a really practical shift in how you talk to people. Instead of launching into a whole long story to justify why you need something, you just state the need. You go from justifying your existence to inviting someone to collaborate with you. A simple request like, "Hey, can we talk in a quieter spot?" isn't asking for special treatment. No way. It's about keeping the relationship on equal footing and building actual mutual respect. Because here's the absolute truth of it all. Trying to constantly manage how everyone else sees you is the loneliest thing in the entire world. Real connection, that feeling of true belonging, it doesn't come from twisting yourself into a pretzel to make other people comfortable. It comes from having the courage to stand in your truth and trust that the right people will meet you there. So, I'll just leave you with this thought. Reclaiming yourself isn't something that happens all at once. It's not a flip of a switch. It starts with small, consistent acts of trusting yourself. So, what is one small thing you could do today to honor that inner compass? Maybe it's just saying no without a 5-paragraph explanation. Maybe it's leaving a loud party the second you feel overwhelmed. Or maybe it's just noticing a gut feeling and for once, just deciding to believe it.